to Healing Your Families, where we address 6 areas of health for families: emotional, financial, mental, physical, social, and spiritual. These areas of health, of course, overlap, but all must be addressed in order to have a healthy, well functioning family. So, how comfortable do you feel with your emotions? I will admit that when I was a young mother, a young wife and mother, I seriously wished my emotions could just be surgically removed. I couldn't see that they did me any good. They seemed to interfere with what I wanted, with the kind of wife and mother I wanted to be. They tripped me up. They seemed to be the enemy. And I was very much aware of good emotions that I liked and bad emotions that I tried to avoid or deny or just stuff down. And I was never successful at it. I had the frustration of resorting to anger when I was trying to get my young children, my toddlers, to cooperate with me, and they just wouldn't. And I would always regret it later. And then I would be hit with overwhelming emotions of inadequacy and just not being good enough. Did I even really deserve to be a mother? It was frustrating. It took me time and patience and a lot of study and research to learn more about my emotions and to understand them better. One thing I found is that the emotions were not causing the problem. It was my behavior that caused the problem. It wasn't bad of me to feel frustration and anger when they wouldn't cooperate. The problem was when I lashed out at them and I yelled at them, or in other ways was not the kind, patient, loving mother I wanted to be. So I soon experimented. One frustration I had was picking up the toys, keeping things cleared up and put away, and not having toys strewn all over the living room. And I would become very angry about that. And then there would be an outburst, and the children would be upset, and they were crying, and I was crying, and there were still toys strewn all over the living room. So I didn't have a toy box, but I had fabric and I had a sewing machine. So I sewed a big bag to put the toys in. And I soon found that when I made a game of it, we would pretend that the toy bag was a hungry monster that fed on toys, and that we needed, when it was time to put them away, we needed to feed the toy bag. And we would make a game of it. I would hold the ends and make chomping sounds and slurping, like he's hungry, he needs to be fed. And as they would put the toys in, I would playfully snatch at their arms, their hands, and they would just giggle with delight. And soon we were able to accomplish that goal of clearing out the living room without the yelling, the unpleasantness. I learned that emotions are just energy in motion. And we can learn from them. I learned from my feelings of frustration that something needed to be done, something needed to change. And then that energy can also motivate us. Then I got creative. I came up with a solution, a way I could transfer that frustrated, getting to angry feeling into creating a game that made it fun and that still taught my children how to clean up and put away their toys. But it was done without any yelling, any threats, any recrimination. So I learned not only that it's not the emotion that's the problem, it's my behavior. There is no emotion that's wrong or too scary to experience. It's how we choose to respond to it. What behavior do we move to? And then I learned that emotions are just energy in motion. And just as energy can be transformed from one form to another, emotions can be too. They can be transferred into a plan of what will improve the situation, what will make it better. And then I also learned about emotions that they're necessary. It's the emotion of love that kept me bonded to my husband and my children, that kept me committed to stick through the problems, to be there for them, to get up at night when they were sick and to care for them and to care about them and to want what was best for them. And supposing I had my wish and my emotions were surgically removed, what would I have been? I would have been a robot, incapable of feeling anything. If I felt no anger, then I would feel no happiness, no joy. Our emotions are a huge part of who we are. And I learned that all of my emotions, even the ones that I had thought were bad or negative, had a purpose. And I could use those emotions to help me reach my goals. I could use those emotions to motivate me to become a better person. I think anytime you become a better person, you become a better parent, a better spouse, a better family member. And I was able to do that as I would use my emotions to recognize something needs to change. There's a problem here. And then I was able to start learning. Okay, so what are possible solutions? What are other people doing? What has been proven to be effective? And then what steps do I need to take to reach that? Another example, sometimes it was just hectic trying to get all of the children ready, dressed, in the car, in their car seats, ready to go. And there would be that frustration would start to lead to that anger, and that anger could lead to behaviors that got me in trouble, that were contrary to what I wanted, the atmosphere I wanted in my home. I wanted an atmosphere of love and cooperation and compassion and kindness. So I would start to learn from that emotion. Okay, what is the problem? Well, the problem is it's so hectic getting ready to go. All right, what are some solutions? What if I did some preparations in advance? What if I made sure all of their shoes were by the front door? And just different ideas on what I could do and the structure I needed to put in place in order to have a positive result. Another problem I encountered was children fixing a snack for themselves and leaving the kitchen looking like a disaster area. So what are some solutions there? What is the structure we can establish? Can we establish time when the kitchen is open for snacks and times when it isn't? Could I have some prepared snacks in the door of the fridge? There are many different ideas. Another thing I found useful is involve everyone in the decision making. I mean, this is going to affect my husband and my children too. So why not let them come up with their suggestions, their ideas? how can we keep our kitchen clean and work together as a family to solve it. Eventually, I learned to appreciate my emotions, not to fear them, not to try to stifle them or deny them or just push them, shove them down. And they don't go away, they just smolder. And then when they erupt, the eruption is far worse than it ever would have been if I had simply addressed them when they first came up. I've read many books on emotions. I've spent a lot of time studying this, and I wanted to learn how to do this for myself, how to truly master my emotions, to understand and accept them, to learn from them, to express them appropriately. And I really think it's a lifetime study. I think there's still some lessons I have left for me to learn. But along the way, I put all that I had learned in an online course called Use Your Emotions Rather Than Let Your Emotions Use You. Because sometimes that's how I felt. I felt that I was a victim of my emotions. I didn't know where they came from. Suddenly I was engulfed in an emotion, and I felt I didn't have any choice as to how I responded. You may recognize we frequently hear phrases such as, that really makes me mad, or they really push my buttons. We tend to assign our emotions outside of us to other people, to circumstances. I learned that emotions come from within. Our thoughts lead to our emotions. And we can learn from our emotions and make wise decisions about what behavior will follow those emotions. So I would love to have you just follow this link and check out this online course. It has 12 modules. You can go through it at your own pace. Each instructional video has assignments to go with it, so you can actually apply what you're learning, try it, record it. There are also some live Q&As. You can ask any questions, share how it's going for you. And because you watched this episode, I invite you to get $50 off by using the discount code WIN50, the number 50. So WIN, capital I-N-E, capital I-N, and then the number 50. And I hope it helps you and helps you appreciate the emotional part of you, your being, and manage so that we are raising children in homes where they're taught about their emotions, how to appreciate them, accept them, express them appropriately, and use that energy as motivation to reach their goals. Let's make the world a better place by strengthening families. This is Emmylou Penrod with healingyourfamilies.com. Join me again next week at the same time. Until then, love yourself and love your family.